Hey, it's Austin James. Yes, I'm living with diabetes, but it doesn't have to define me. Thanks to the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor, I get real-time glucose readings throughout the day. The Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor is small and easy to wear, giving me the freedom to focus on my life as a parent and a musician. Now this is progress. You can get a free sensor at freestylelibre.us.
Offer available for people who qualify. Visit myfreestyle.us to see all terms and conditions. Certain exclusions apply. Data on file. Abbott Diabetes Care. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Is your cold making it hard for you to get to sleep and leading to a bad morning? Switch to Mucinex Night Shift for fast, powerful, nighttime multi-symptom cold and flu relief. Mucinex Night Shift fights your worst nighttime symptoms to help you get to sleep and wake up ready to go. Mucinex Night Shift. It's comeback season. Use as directed.
This episode is brought to you by National Geographic, presenting its new documentary film, Endurance. Follow the greatest survival story ever told, unpacking the legendary feat of polar explorer Sir Ernest Shackleton, who kept his crew alive for over a year, despite losing their ship in frigid pack ice. Over a century later, a team of modern-day explorers set out to find the sunken ship. Endurance, now streaming on Hulu and Disney+.
Dr. Scott's Simply Herbal CBD Nasal Spray is the best on the market with buffered saline, peppermint oil, and just the right amount of CBD. You'll be ready for anything. That's simplyherbals.net. That's simplyherbals.net. Order yours today. Dr. Scott's Simply Herbal CBD Nasal Spray is the best on the market with buffered saline, peppermint oil, and just the right amount of CBD. You'll be ready for anything. That's simplyherbals.net. That's simplyherbals.net. Order yours today. Yours today. Dr. Scott's Simply Herbal CBD Nasal Spray is the best on the market with buffered saline, peppermint oil, and just the right amount of CBD. You'll be ready for anything. That's simplyherbals.net. That's simplyherbals.net. Order yours today.
This is not how sane people act.
Scorn and defiance, slight regard, contempt, and anything that might not misbecome the mighty sender. Doth he prize you, aunt?
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
If you just read the bio for Dr. Steve, host of Weird Medicine on Sirius XM 103 and made popular by two really comedy shows, Opie and Anthony and Ron and Fez, you would have thought that this guy was a bit of, a clown.
Why can't you give me the respect that I'm entitled to?
I've got diphtheria crushing my esophagus. I've got Ebola virus dripping from my nose. I've got the leprosy of the heart valves, exacerbating my incredible woes. I want to take my brain now and blast it with the wave, an ultrasonic, echographic, and a pulsating shave. I want a magic pill for all my ailments, the health equivalent of Citizen Kane. And if I don't get it now in the tablet, I think I'm doomed and I'll have to go insane. I want a requiem for my disease, so I'm paging Dr. Steve. Dr. Steve!
From the world-famous Cardiff Electric Network studios in beautiful downtown OJ City, it's Weird Medicine, the first and still only uncensored medical show in the history of broadcast radio, now a podcast. I'm Dr. Steve with my little pal, Dr. Scott, the traditional Chinese medicine provider who gives me street cred with the wacko alternative medicine assholes. Hello, Dr. Scott.
Hey, Dr. Steve.
And back from sabbatical, Lady Diagnosis. Hello, Lady Diagnosis.
Hello, Dr. Steve.
This is a show for people who had never listened to a medical show on the radio or the internet. If you have a question that you're embarrassed to take to your regular medical provider, if you can't find an answer anywhere else, give us a call, 347-766-4323. That's 347-POOHEAD. Follow us on Twitter at Weird Medicine or at DrScottWM. Visit our website at drsteve.com for podcast medical news and stuff you can buy. Most importantly, we are not your medical providers. Take everything here with a grain of salt. Don't act on anything you hear on this show without talking it over with your doctor, healthcare provider, or whatever. So, very good. All right, don't forget stuff.drsteve.com. That's stuff.drsteve.com. You can scroll down and see the Roadie robotic guitar tuner. It's gift time. So check that out. Or you can go to Roadie, ROADIE.drsteve.com. Pick up a Roadie robotic tuner for someone in your family or your life that has a guitar or bass, mandolin. There are some other instruments that will work with as well. Brian May from Queen said that he was pissed that they only developed this at the end of his career. So it is an amazing thing for under $200. And then they also have the Roadie Coach. You can get one and it will teach someone how to play their instrument. So if you have somebody that wants to learn, an adult particularly that wants to learn how to play the guitar, and they have a guitar but it's just been sitting there because they don't know how to start, get them a Roadie Coach. So go to roadie.drsteve.com. Check out Dr. Scott's website at simplyherbals.net. Check out our Patreon at patreon.com/weirdmedicine. I just uploaded the newest serial killer therapy video for Normal World. Thank you. It's every Halloween they do serial killer therapy, and this time it was Carrie Pinhead, Saw, and a surprise guest. And it's that we did serial killer telehealth this time, so I was on a TV screen and interviewing these people, these lunatics. So check that out, patreon.com/weirdmedicine. Also check out Normal World, youtube.com/@normalworld, or you can always go to Blaze TV. And if you do, I mean, look, whatever your politics are, Blaze TV's got a lot of different stuff on there. They tend to skew to the right, but so if you're not into that, that's fine. Just watch them on YouTube. But if you do, tell them old Dr. Steve sent you. I don't get anything from it, but it'd be nice for them to know. And then cameo.com/weirdmedicine. I'll say fluid to your mama for a very small amount of money. More than nothing, but less than probably, a lot of people do. But I don't know. It just, I would do it for free. They won't let me. That's all I'm saying. So there's a minimum amount, and that's what I charge. So I'd just do it for fun. All right. So check that out. Cameo.com/weirdmedicine. Dr. Scott, how's things going at simplyherbals.net?
We're good. Been busy. Busy. Yeah. Thank you.
Got some of the weird medicine people and dabblers sending you orders for Simply Herbals nasal spray.
I don't know about the dabblers, but for sure lots of weird medicine people.
Okay, cool. Very good. Well, we had AI make you a new theme song, and it's on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/@weirdmedicine.
Pretty fabulous.
Now we're going to add video and images to it and make it a real ad for you. So
cool.
We'll get that done. AI, this Donna AI, I'm telling you, it sucks if you tell it, well, just make up a song about so-and-so. You know, the words are just cloyingly awful. But if you write the lyrics for it and let it make the music, it's unbelievable, the stuff that it can do. I was playing some before while we were sitting here waiting. I'm trying to see if I got one that I can actually play. Well, let me just play. Let me see. Let me play the one about Cardiff Electric, just so that you get an idea of what the AI can do. Now, Cardiff Electric is the floating potato over at the Dabbleverse. He's been he's been trolling Howard Stern and Opie and Anthony and Eric Nagel. He used to get on Eric Nagel's show and talk about the pie guy who was 3.1415, and he kept calling him that. Kept confusing it with maybe he was a baker or something like that. It was really stupid, but it followed the Opie humor paradigm, which is you keep doing it until it becomes funny, and that's kind of what he did. But anyway, listen to this.
a potato. They say a tater, not a hater. He's a masturbator. He got prestige. He ain't never going bend the knee. Mr. Carter, don't forget it gonna be hard if he stop messing with Stuttering John. He stopped messing with Stuttering John. It all over and the devil verse is done. Carter's electric and his sidekick, okay. They ain't too bad for a cup of Ofe.
I mean,
so it created that song.
It created that.
Wow.
Yeah, I gave it the words, and it created the song.
And whose voice is it? The
I don't
computer, computer generated? Yeah. How cool!
It has to be a computer voice, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean the whole thing.
It would, yeah.
The whole thing is that's the crazy thing. Is there's no instruments, there's no voice. You can hear the guy breathing. Taking a breath between. It's weird.
It is weird, yeah.
And they say now, I mean, they know how they constructed these things, but they don't know how they actually work. That's something.
That's kind of
It's just a neural network.
That's like females.
Yeah.
Watch it. Sorry, Diane. Nope, except for Diane, of course.
Of course.
Oh my goodness, Diane.
Sorry, perfect.
All right. Okie doke. Anyway, very good. Pretty amazing, that stupid, crazy AI stuff.
I've got to research that and see what it does. I don't know what I would do with it, but
yeah, it's great.
Yeah, nothing. You just screw around with it. I actually did want to make a Simply Herbals ad, and so I just wrote some words. Literally it took me 30 seconds to write the words. And then it, I don't want to play an ad on this show, but let me just give you just a taste of it. And I said, do jazz with a male voice. That's it. Okay?
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Okay, first off.
That's unbelievable.
How does it know to do, the trading fours, the sax, and then the break, and then the drum stop, and then the piano goes in right before the guy starts singing? I mean, that's perfect, jazz sort of trope, right?
Yep.
Now, I guess you can just teach it jazz tropes, but,
But still put them all together.
Teaching a human being is hard to do this, but, some machine, and this is actually very clever. This song is so clever that it gets stuck in my head. Well, let me just...
I like it. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Prolonged.
Dr. Scott's Simply Herbal CBD nasal spray is the best on the market.
Isn't that crazy?
So we're all going to be replaced eventually. I mean, DJs for sure. Musicians possibly.
Well, for some stuff.
Yeah, for some stuff. Commercials anyways,
Right.
Oh, yeah,
right.
That's so true, yeah.
Things that
where quality and super important.
Things that appeal to the broadest audience with the lowest common denominator, absolutely. Right now, it can't, in my mind, create actual art, but it creates a simulacrum of art, though. Something that if you didn't know a machine made it, you would think a human did it.
Right.
When I first discovered this, I was watching a YouTube channel called Cryptic Web Chronicle. It doesn't matter what it was, but it's a channel dedicated to making fun of this one science fiction writer, and it's a long story. It doesn't matter. But there was a whole group of, it's called Platinum Hits Dan, and it was about this podcaster named Dan Mullen, and there are all these songs about him, and they're all saying horrible things, but they're all very clever. And I was like, how did somebody just sit down and go in the studio and record this? And then I realized it was AI. And you can tell sometimes by the way that it pronounces things, like no human would pronounce it that way. And I was like, how in the hell are they doing this? And so I went and investigated, and there you go.
AI. It's incredible.
It is.
That's pretty bizarre.
Anyway. All right. I have a story that I wanted to do. And welcome, Lady Diagnosis.
Thank you much.
Glad that you're here. It's been a long time.
Great to be back.
Yay. Well, so one of our listeners sent me a story about these things called vulture bees. Have you heard of them?
I don't think so.
And it's nothing new. It's not like, you remember when they had the killer bees and they were coming north and they were going to kill everybody or kill lots of people and stuff like that. And those bees are extremely aggressive. But fortunately, they bred with our bees and sort of calmed down, and it never became a problem. Vulture bees have been around for billions of years. They're carrion bees. They are a South American stingless bee, and they feed on rotting meat.
Okay.
And some of these produce a substance that's similar to royal jelly, and it's not derived by nectar, but rather from this sort of protein-rich secretions that the bees secrete. And they're likely derived from the bee's diet. What else would they come from? And what people value these secretions. What are you doing? Why are you doing that?
So I can see you.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. Okay.
Wow.
No, I'm just asking. I didn't know if something was going on that I didn't know about.
No.
Okay. Lady Diagnosis is moving microphones around, and that's fine. That's fine. I just was wondering if I needed to know something. But anyway, they call it meat honey. It's protein rich. Now, listen to this shit. Okay, so they mix sugary plant products with this sort of proteinaceous paste from their regurgitated meat, and they bring it into the hive, and they've got these two different pots. And this is the crazy. How did they know how to do this stuff? But they take it and they let it mature to form a sweet substance that was used as food. And but the two resources were kept in separate pots in the colony. Neither are true honey, meaning they're not derived from network. But then they mix them together. So the vulture bees go out and go. By the way, they like to go through the eye socket. I don't know why. Dead things.
Yeah,
they go through the eye socket and start eating from there. And then they take it back to the nest and they regurgitate it into these pots. And then the worker bees start making, they're like, it's like you're taking it to the restaurant, to the chef. And then the worker bees are the chefs and they make this stuff.
Wow.
And they gather nectar, produce honey. Oh, okay. There's different studies. Some of the bees do gather nectar and produce honey, but also produce this glandular secretion derived from carrion as this protein source, and they keep it completely separate from the honey. But anyway, in neither case do the bees ever mix meat-based substances with the substances that they get from flowers. So if they actually make honey, they keep that separate from the meat. So it's like having your cereal over here and then your hot dogs in the refrigerator. Isn't that crazy?
I'd like to try that. Proteinaceous.
I know, proteinaceous. Meat honey.
I need some meat honey.
Oh, wow.
So their species name is Trigona, and then would that be the species or the whatever? But there's Trigona necrophaga, which means that they eat dead things. And the masticated meat is regurgitated into a storage pot, and then the material is consumed by a worker bee and processed by its highly acidic gut, which breaks down the meat, and then they produce this special substance.
A special sauce.
Resecreting the proteins as a decay-resistant edible glucose product.
Wow.
And that's what keeps the hive alive. So the carrion bees, they consume this, but they don't metabolize it. In other words, they're not consuming it for food.
They're
carrying it, and then they take it to the chef that then fixes it and then puts it out there, on plates, I guess, for the hive to eat. Right.
Family
Order
style,
up.
Yeah, family style dining.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh, my God.
Exactly.
How bizarre.
So it's a smorgasbord of meat honey.
Meat honey. I think that would be a new good
meat
band
honey.
name.
Yeah. I love it.
That's going on the list for band names.
That's a good name.
That's a great name.
Yep.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yep, eat my meat, honey. Anyway, so that's vulture bees.
And proteinaceous. I love that
Part
word.
Part of God's great creation is vulture bees.
That's wild.
All right, you got anything for us this week, Dr. Scott?
Let's see. I was reading just a little earlier an interesting thing about the gout.
The Gout.
Yep.
In North Kakalaki, they call it the Gout.
So there's a study that was done in Europe, and it was they went back and did a huge collection of data, 13 different cohorts.
Yep.
120,000 people with prevalent gout.
Okay.
And
what do you mean with prevalent gout?
Probably like me, it's pretty consistent.
Well, prevalent means it's common. So,
well, I can click on.
Okay, well, that's okay. Go ahead.
But yeah, but
they all have gout.
Yeah, they all have gout. Yeah, and they studied genetic data from 2.6 million people.
Yeah,
and they found that there's DNA regions where people with that are born in certain regions of the world are much more have a greater tendency to have gout.
Okay.
So it's much more based
on
genetic.
So they're finding the genetic. Well, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I can eat all the shrimp and shit and drink beer all I want.
Oh, fuck.
You can't do that.
Oh, hell, I can't even look at it.
So it has to be genetic. There's something in your genetic code that makes you metabolize purines differently.
Yep.
And so you end up with uric acid crystals crystallizing in some of the joints of your body.
Yeah.
So did that start at birth, or you didn't have it when you were young, did you?
Well, no. That's just it. It kind of had to have started to a certain degree at birth, and you wonder going back in time.
Yep.
If I didn't have some of it in my knees as a young man,
well,
because
maybe.
I always had knee problems, and thought I had osteoarthritis of the knees.
Okay.
And had it for since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
And
when you could start recognizing.
Yeah.
It,
It's like, damn, my knee hurts. And you're trying to play football or baseball. It's like, man, it's killing me. So, but my very first flare was after of course a robust night of poker playing and drinking heavy, and they were high gravity alcohol beers. Yeah. And my ex and I were getting ready to go to Key West on Sunday for a conference that started on Monday. So I got out of bed, Sunday morning.
Couldn't walk.
Well, and it's typical me. I got out of bed and I looked at my toe and it was red and hurt like a MF. I was like, damn, I must have hit my toe on something.
Sure, you would think that.
That's what you think.
What else would you
think? Of course,
think?
well, that's what, and she looks at me, she goes, you dumbass, that's gout.
Oh.
And then I looked at it again and I went, oh, God, it is gout.
Well, that's okay, when someone's in 10 out of 10 pain, that's what you want to do is call them a name.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that was classic for her.
Yeah, no, I know.
You know how she was. But that's like the when I had Montezuma's Revenge in Mexico on our honeymoon, and she told me it was psychosomatic because I didn't want to go there for the honeymoon. Yeah, well, let's just.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Let's just put it like this.
You didn't want to go, so you got sick, and you did that on purpose.
Exactly. So I had a psychosomatic attack of Montezuma's Revenge, which she actually did get 2 days later.
Good.
So, thankfully,
Did you tell her it was psychosomatic?
Payback,
I said, man, I guess that's what you get.
That's psychosomatic. Bacteria in your gut really is something.
Yeah, it's something else, isn't it? Yeah, but so it's really interesting. So I cannot get anywhere near a piece of shrimp.
Yeah.
And if I do drink beer, I have to do a lot of hydration, a lot of exercise, because the more sedentary I am, the worse it is.
So shrimp beer is out.
Well, shrimp. We've got a favorite Italian restaurant here where we live.
Yep.
And one of the greatest pizzas they make is a shrimp and capers pizza, and it's just divine. And man,
divine.
So did they
let's
have
just
a
put like this.
medicine?
Who uses that word?
I haven't had it in 15 years. Yes, but so I haven't had that in about 15 years. But yeah, so that's just what's going on right now. Is that, and one of the reasons I was reading this article is because I am not tolerating just the probenecid, which is for under excretors.
Stop bullshitting.
Yeah. Because there are two classes of medicine, right?
Well, right. So
for the most part,
let's talk a little bit about gout. So we're talking about a buildup of uric acid in the bloodstream.
There's a lot of people
results in kidney stones and precipitation of uric acid into the joint. So there's two ways that you can get elevated uric acid levels. Either you produce too much, in other words, your body's making too much and you can't get rid of it fast enough, or you're excreting too little. In other words, you have normal amounts, but you're not pissing it out like you're supposed to. The vast majority of people are under excreters.
Yes.
So which one are you? Have they ever tested you?
No, never tested me. But I responded really well to the probenecid. Yeah. The probenecid worked as an under excreter. It worked for a long time because allopurinol did not work at all initially.
Right.
At all.
Right. Yeah. Now, okay, so if you're an under excreter, you want to excrete more, and there is a drug called probenecid, as Dr. Scott said, that prevents, that enhances
your ability to excrete.
Your ability to piss out uric acid, right?
It binds to the uric acid.
It also prevents you from pissing out penicillin. So they used to use it when they would, like if they treated somebody back in the day when penicillin still worked for that, you would give somebody a shot of penicillin for gonorrhea and then give them probenecid, and it would keep the penicillin in their system longer.
Wow. Okay.
So it's interesting. It blocks the excretion of penicillin, but it enhances the excretion of uric acid. Of course, when you enhance the excretion of uric acid into the kidney, what's going to happen is you're going to get more uric acid stones. So in the beginning, you have to give people this stuff called potassium citrate to change the pH of their urine so that they can't precipitate uric acid anymore. And anybody that has gout stones or uric acid stones, if they take potassium citrate, that will take care of it. But then what you do is you give the people probenecid and potassium citrate, prevent them from making stones, and then as the uric acid level drops, when it gets back to normal, you can stop the potassium citrate because now you're not pissing out more, but you got to stay on the probenecid. So you are chronically on probenecid? You take it every day?
Yeah, and then it stopped working.
Well, when you say it stopped working, what do you mean? You started getting gout attacks?
Yeah, more common flares again.
So did you check your uric acid level?
No, hell no.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Well, no wonder.
You have to go.
You have to ride the levels. Well, I'm in an office just below you. I can do this. So you have to ride the levels. So if your level is creeping back up, then you got to change the dose of your probenecid. And then you can take colchicine.
Yep. Which I'm doing now.
Okay, I had one guy that had, I've seen people that had such horrible tophaceous gout. In other words, the gout was building up in their fingers and you could see it, big giant. And every once in a while one would break open and you would see like white crystals coming out of their joints.
Cool.
It's not cool for them.
Man,
No, I'm sure it hurt. But
but it's interesting. Well, it's gout at that point. But and that person I had on allopurinol and colchicine and probenecid.
Yes.
Still having. That's how bad their genetics were. But so you're taking colchicine every day, or you only take it to abort an attack?
Colchicine every day.
Okay, so when you have an attack, then what do you do?
Well, you usually double the probenecid. So now,
increase the colchicine.
Yeah. Well, I've done it before, and the colchicine didn't knock it down.
It will if you do it right. You got to take enough until you either shit or puke.
Yeah,
and then it sucks, but so does a gout attack.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And we can give you IV colchicine too.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, another reason I was looking at is there have not been a whole lot of new medications,
right?
But because it's never been.
There's Uloric now though, but it's basically just highfalutin allopurinol,
right? Well, they finally coming up with some IV once a week injections, and which I'm a little
for prevention.
Yeah, and so I'm a little skeptical of that for now, but I think in the future we'll probably have to pay attention to that, I would assume. But complex gout.
I don't see anything.
We have to do allopurinol and
there is IV allopurinol. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay.
It's a different name.
With that.
Just seems a little. little over the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well.
But
you know,
for me, not for people who
you
have
can't
terrible
walk
gout.
down my stairs without taking baby steps. You know, so it's. Given that you were once a professional athlete, I think that would suck.
Yeah, it's not cool. But it makes it. But go back to the question is, it kind of makes you think: did I have it much younger age, and could have done a little bit better job of dietary, choices.
Yeah,
and if that would have made a difference.
No, I don't think what you eat can change your genetic ability to clear uric acid.
Yeah. Right.
It's not like that. It's just you have, an inability to clear uric acid, and it's cumulative as you get older. You get worse at it, and then the next thing you know, you got gout. Yeah. Now, have you ever tried steroids when you have a gouty attack?
I have when it gets bad. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll do some
triamcinolone. You can do an injection, or you can just do a Medrol dose pack.
Yep.
Oral prednisone works.
Yeah,
Toradol is the greatest thing, really. You ever tried it? Ketorolac?
No, never.
So Ketorolac is an extremely potent non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. But if you take it every day, it will kill your kidneys. But if you do it in the short term, it's totally fine, totally safe. We do it all the time. Well, as safe as any other.
I can just come down and get a shot.
You can get a shot. They also make it in a pill form. But you can come down to my office. I'll give you a dang shot of Toradol.
You'll shoot your ass full.
Toradol's great, and it's not an opioid, and it's not colchicine, so it's not going to make you puke.
It was a great NSAID. Yep, and different from what was the old NSAID they used to use for
indomethacin.
Indomethacin.
Yeah, this is a little bit less
tough on your
less
gut.
toxic than
because that was tough on your gut, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would give you an ulcer in a minute.
Yep, but it works.
Well, for those who have it out there, just keep working on getting and managing and working with hopefully your providers who know a little bit about gout.
Well, and listen, a lot of providers don't know about gout. If you go in and you say, Doc, am I an underexcreter or an overproducer? And they look at you like, what the hell are you talking about? Run. Don't walk, run. And find, a rheumatologist or somebody in your area that knows something about gout. Right now, all they do is they treat everybody with allopurinol. And that it kind of works. But to me, if you have a problem and you can identify the root cause, why don't you treat the root cause?
And let's just say I had I know of
You've never had a 24-hour urine?
Yeah, we did.
You did. So they proved you were an underexcreter.
Yeah, it's been like about 15 years ago. I peed a jug for 24 hours.
Yeah.
But let's just say I may have heard of a case where somebody went to their primary with an obvious gout flare.
Yeah.
And was diagnosed with gout in office, and you want the medication they gave them?
What?
Allopurinol.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah.
They
were having an acute gout
for
case?
The first.
No.
That's why. Thank you very much. Yeah, exactly. I was about to vomit.
No, okay, so let's talk about this real quick.
Because this is really important. So, if you
have an acute gout attack, and medical students that are listening to this, and there are some.
And people who suffer from gout, too.
And people but the people who are going to be prescribing, but yes, do not take allopurinol when you have an acute gout attack because it will make it worse.
Acute means really, really bad, right?
No, acute means it's ongoing. It's happening right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Especially if it's your first one ever. I mean, this individual had never had it before. And
some of my colleagues are just
and was told if it doesn't go away in a couple of days to double the allopurinol.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I swear.
You're a stupid mind.
I swear.
Stupid.
I swear.
God.
And this person's a doctor?
He's a fucking idiot. He's a fucking idiot.
And let's just say I was very kind, and I said, I suggest you do this. Go back tomorrow, and give them these suggestions. And so we got.
You want to take colchicine until you hear this.
Yeah, exactly. And how about some NSAIDs too, baby?
Anything but allopurinol. Now, you want to get it calmed down and then start the allopurinol so it doesn't happen again.
Yes.
But you got to work it up.
Yep.
You have to do a uric acid level. What if it's normal? Well, maybe it's pseudo-gout. How do you know that? Well, you can look at it under the microscope and use a polarimeter, and which is just basically a disc of polarized, like polarized lens stuff, and you spin it. And uric acid crystals will be yellow when they're parallel to the axis of the polarimeter. And then pseudo-gout will be blue when it's parallel to the axis of the polarimeter. So the mnemonic was UPA, yellow urate parallel to the axis. And that's I remember the day I learned that in second year medical school. And I've used it. I used it in my real practice when I was doing primary care. You know, you'd aspirate a big joint, you'd find these crystals, put it under the microscope with a polarimeter, and you'd spin the thing, and then when it turned yellow, you would see where the axis was pointing. If it was pointing, parallel, then those were uric acid crystals. You could make the diagnosis that way. There's lots of different ways to make diagnoses. That's one of them. So anyway, yeah, that's it. The amount of lack of cognition about things like this. I've talked about this on this show before, particularly when it comes to gout, because there's a very scientific, well-established approach to diagnosing and treating gout, and it seems like nobody fucks with it.
Yeah,
it's
a little flow chart. I mean, you can look it up and go, well, if this is it,
correct,
and it's not,
just give everybody allopurinol.
No.
Idiots.
So work at it, people.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie, and one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by Angie. Angie has made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your jobs and projects done well. Let me tell you, there's the version of it where you try to do something at home, and then there's a version of it where you have someone help you, you watch them do it the right way, and you go, thank God I didn't try to do that myself. I have fully done things around the home that I think look good, and then a bang in the night, and I wake up to a shelf collapsing, a painting falling off the wall. I've seen it all go south. I own a home, and I can tell you, I know how much work it can take. Whether it's everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality, it can be hard just to know where to start. But now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Whatever your home project, big or small, indoor or outdoor, you can Angie that and connect with skilled professionals to get the project done well. Right now, one of my wish lists is I want a bike for my condo in Milwaukee, and I would love to rig it up on a pulley in the ceiling because I have one of those lofted ceilings, but I'm so scared to try that on my own. Angie has 20 years of home experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app. Answer a few questions and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish, or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly, which means you can take care of any home project in just a few taps. Because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
Prep for Thanksgiving at Whole Foods Market. Save now on no antibiotics ever frozen whole turkey, just $1.49 a pound with Prime. Sales on brie and select seafood appetizers help get things started. For sides, go with wallet-happy favorites from 365 by Whole Foods Market. And finish with decadent desserts from the bakery. Or get your whole spread catered. Just order early. Get Thanksgiving ready at Whole Foods Market. Terms apply.
Chronic migraine is 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more. Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for adults with migraine with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It prevents, on average, 8 to 9 headache days a month versus 6 to 7 for placebo.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Ask your doctor and visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
So when do you know when to listen to your doctor and when to be like, are you sure?
Isn't that something? And, everybody got made fun of during COVID for doing their own research, but I still think that it's good for you to advocate for yourself.
Yes.
And not to go, well, doc, you're an idiot, but to say, hey, I was reading this. What do you think? Let it be them.
Right.
And then if you have somebody that's just obviously not using their head, then find a different primary care.
But how would we know? I mean, I'm a lay person. I go in the doctor, I tell them, this hurts and this hurts, and they say it's this.
Right.
Why shouldn't I believe them? But
well, okay.
What do you research it on?
That's a tough one, isn't it?
Can I start though?
Yes, please.
I think the first.
I have an idea how to approach this, but go ahead.
My first approach would be: do you truly feel like they're listening?
Right.
If they can recreate what you just said. Well, okay, so does it hurt when you do this? Yes, it does. Okay, and you told me that it hurts when you do this. Then they're actually getting it.
Okay.
Then at least they're processing, and they might come up with something crazy. But
that is part of the.
But
protocol.
you have to be able to recreate. If you're truly listening, you have to recreate what they just said.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and they should be doing that anyway. So in summary, what you're saying is bleep bleep bleep.
Right,
A B C and D.
Right.
Then you know they're listening.
Yep, and especially I think being your own advocate, especially if you got something that's a little odd. It's helpful to me if somebody comes in and says, hey, man, listen, I've been to 3 other people, but nobody's ever heard of this.
Yeah.
And here's the research that I've got. I'm like, hey, thank you for because it's impossible for anybody to know everything.
Yeah.
Right.
So when somebody comes in with something really helpful, you go, hey, thank you.
Yeah.
That's really beneficial.
Well, people do sometimes come in with lists, and
that's
like,
that's a little different.
Boy.
That's a little different. Yeah.
Those people are advocating for themselves. I appreciate that. They're not gonna. They don't want to forget anything. But sometimes I just go, give me that list, and I go, okay, nope. Yep. Yes. Okay, let's talk about this one.
Or what's even better when they come in with a notebook full of blood pressures that they've taken 3 times a day and their blood sugars that they take.
No, I appreciate that.
But, no, I'm not saying it's bad, but I mean, then you have to go through this whole thing. It's like,
that they're...
I'll be there for another 15 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm okay with the
It's
diary.
okay.
The diary I'm okay with. Yeah. And I'm okay with all of it. But, I have a relationship with my patients. I kind of know when I can just go, you just give me that list. Let's go,
That's so true. That is so true.
But, and they appreciate the fact that I'm actually reading the list and then picking out the things that are actually important. So at least to me.
Mm-hmm.
But so
but they don't like being told also what you think is wrong with you. Because I had a provider I took a list to.
Yep.
For a patient and a recommendation on what should be done and what we thought it was.
Yeah.
She got mad at me.
Now,
mad.
Okay, without violating anything,
it's the one I discussed with you.
Well, give us an example. What do you mean that you told them what to do?
Well, I gave them a printout of, okay, if it's this diagnosis or these symptoms, double check this, double check that.
Right.
It could be this,
sure.
It could be, and she was mad that I even gave it.
I wouldn't be mad about that.
Why
I might
would
ignore
you?
it, but I wouldn't be mad about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ego. It's all about the ego.
Yeah, so sometimes you can't really feel like you can talk to your provider, right?
Well, no, you should be able to talk.
Okay.
Now, I had a drug rep
hope.
come in one time trying to school me on how to calculate breakthrough medication. And it's like, dude, get the fuck out of my office.
And then you married her?
No, different person altogether.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's like, get out of my office. You're going to school me on this? I've got like half a dozen articles in the medical literature about this exact topic, and you're going to tell me that, So I was a little arrogant with that one. First off, I didn't like the guy that much anyway, but second off,
didn't help, yeah.
It just pissed me off that, don't school me on something so trivial like I don't know what the hell, anyway. So there, I can get my hackles up, but it's it just depends on how you approach somebody. So if you don't want your doctor's hackles to get up, what you want to do is, you should just be able to talk to them. But rather than coming at them like they're stupid or they don't know something, to say, always make them think that it's their idea.
Right.
Hey, I found this. What do you think about it?
Exactly. And that's what I would do.
And then if they blow you off, then that's when you can go, well, wait a minute, this person isn't really paying attention to me or something. But if they blow you off because, this doesn't apply in this situation because X, Y, and Z, and that makes sense,
right,
that's fine. But if they just go,
yeah, you got to reply.
Yeah.
With some,
people just simply want to be recognized, and not like, oh, hi, Diane. I met you a year ago. I don't mean that kind of recognized. They want to be seen as human beings, and they want their problems to be processed. So we've talked on this show before about the video that they showed us when I was a medical student about this. Sort of shaman, local. It's witch doctor's not the right term, but a local shaman, and he functioned as the primary care provider for this village. And people would come to him, and he would take palm fronds and wave them over him and stuff like that, and people would feel better. And what Scott and I will attest to you is that 90% of our patients will get better if they just didn't come to us at all. So 90% of his patients feel better too. It's the 10% where we can make a difference that maybe he can't. If somebody comes to him with a burst appendix and he's waving palm fronds, they're probably going to die. Whereas they might still die if they come to see me, but they're less likely to because I'm going to send them
different
to the
tools.
surgeon.
You got some different
we have different tools
and knowledge.
But the societal role that he plays exactly the same, and we have to realize that. That's what patients want. They want you to, and that guy is really paying attention to those people. He's not blowing them off. They're laying there and he's doing all this stuff. He's doing things, and that's our patients want that too. Now, Dr. Scott, nobody goes to him. He doesn't do something.
Yep.
So they're more inclined to feel better just because he touched them and laid hands on them and did something. When we just sit there and we don't even listen to their heart anymore and listen to their lungs or do it, you just sit there and pontificate.
Right.
That's
or type or enter on the computer. So you don't have to do the note after work. You're going to do the notes right then.
Well, I do my notes right then, but I'll tell you what, the way I do it is a little different. I've got my computer on wheels, and so I can wheel it around so that I'm always looking. If I've got a patient and their spouse, I can put the computer between the two of them. I can keep eye contact with both of them while I'm, doing their note. Because if I don't do that, I'm going to forget stuff, and then
or more importantly, you want me to order things that they need,
right?
Like tests.
I order them right then. Right. They don't leave until I'm done ordering everything and reviewing everything. So, but anyway,
so important.
Yeah. So there you go. But yeah, eye contact, physical touch used to be the big thing. Then COVID happened, and then we kind of got away from it. But still, just even laying your hands on somebody's shoulder when you say, "Hey, I'll see you in a month" or something like that makes a huge difference. Studies have shown people feel better if the provider just touches them in even the most cursory way.
Yep.
That's something.
People like to be touched.
Well, that's a great question, Lady Diagnosis. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't figure it out until it's too late that their doctor is completely full of shit or going down the wrong path. That's why second opinions are always okay. Always okay to get a second opinion. If anybody gets mad about that, then that says more about
that's
them
another
than it does
sign
about
that
you.
Don't go.
Okie doke.
Got it.
All right. Got anything else?
Nope. Number one thing, don't take advice from some asshole on the radio.
All right, here we go. Thank you, Ronnie B.
Hi, Dr. Steve. I tweeted this question to you the other day. It's why do men can piss out both holes out of their penis at certain times? I noticed it.
What?
Excuse me?
Okay.
You have 2 holes in yours?
He's like,
not unless you've got a.
Why do I piss out of the 3rd hole in my penis all the time? It's like, oh, dude, we got more to talk about.
Quite often through my life, but just last week, I just kind of figured, call you up, why do at certain times when I pee, through the mainstream, main urine comes out, then out the top hole, and urine also can come out. Thanks for answering my.
Wow. Okay. So there are people that have the urethral meatus not in the right place, and that's called hypospadias. That's where instead of the urethral meatus, aka the cock hole lady diagnosis.
I just like hearing him say that.
Yeah, you just like me saying cock hole. But the cock hole can be underneath the penis, and that's called hypospadias. And actually, famously, Bobo Curlin from Opie and Anthony had hypospadias and had multiple surgeries on his penis, which is, I'm not speaking out of school, has all been talked about on the air. But I think what this guy's talking about is, because he says it's not all the time, I'm trying to decipher and just imagine. I think in his sort of less than articulate way, he's saying that sometimes his stream is split into
right.
2.
I agree.
And that happens when you have an exudate in your penis.
A what?
Exudate, like proteinaceous fluid that hardens.
Oh, okay.
And that could be caused by gonorrhea is one. The old saw was if you had gonorrhea, you'd sit in front of the urinal and you'd spray the people on either side of you. And basically what it is there's just this, exudate. It's like pus is an
clogging
it up, and then it just goes in a bunch of different directions. It could be old semen. It just could be old mucus too. Sometimes when you wake up in the morning, some people have mucus
and dehydrated too
from the mucous membrane, right? And it's just kind of dried at the very head. And when they start their stream, it'll be in 2 streams, and then it eventually that plug is pissed out, and then it goes back to 1 stream. So that's
so. Should you dig it out?
No, God,
no.
Just piss it out.
It'll go away.
God, don't dig anything.
No, don't dig nothing.
We did a whole thing on urethral sounding, and my thing on that is if you're going to do it, they make things for it. That you can buy urethral sounds that you can't lose because they've got a bulb or a ball on one end. But to me, listen. My urologist sounded my urethra with a fiber optic scope, and Dr. Scott had the same thing, and I felt like I was pissing razor blades.
So he listened to it?
No,
you said
he sounded it. Well, we've talked about this on the thing. Sounding means testing the depth of something. Gotcha. So, like if you're sounding in a boat, you're dropping an anchor with knots in the rope, and then however many knots it is. And so when you do bladder sounding, you're taking a rod and you're shoving it down the urethra till it hits the back of the bladder, and then you can see how deep that is. Ooh. Right? Yeah.
Okay.
And so we're just saying it's just sort of a joke, when they took that fiber optic scope and shoved it in our urethras and looked around the bladder, they're basically, sounding our urethra. But they when they pull it out, it's really you feel like you're pissing razor blades for about a day. Yeah, it sucked. And so and the other thing is they take numbing gel and they put it on the end of the thing, of the scope. Boy, do I have dementia? I'm just, I've got anomia. The thingamajig, that thing over there. They put it on the end of the fiber optic scope, and they just jam it in. Well, that doesn't do anything. That makes them feel better. It doesn't make us feel any better. What you have to do is take a syringe and instill it into the urethra full of, lidocaine jelly and let it sit there for 10 minutes. And then you can shove that thing in if you want to. And the patient won't feel anything. But just putting numbing gel on the end of the tube and then just shoving it in their bladder, it sucks.
I still say propofol is a much better option.
Yeah, Michael Jackson's Magic Milk.
Worked wonders.
That's my vote. That's my vote.
That was one of my favorite jokes from the DabbleCon roast. Was Anthony was there from Opie and Anthony, and I said, being a doctor to a celebrity is difficult. They hated George Nicopolis when Elvis died, and they hated Conrad Murray when Michael Jackson died. And they hate me even more because Anthony's still alive. So there you go. Hey.
Bravo, Dr. Steve.
There you
That's
go.
funny.
There you go. All right.
Funny boy.
That's me. There we go.
Hi, Dr. Steve and friends.
Hello.
I'm Paul from Reno, Nevada.
Hey, Paul.
How are you?
Good. How are you, man?
Good.
Good.
My question is, can you harvest sperm from the testes 20 years after having a vasectomy?
Excellent question.
Love the show. And
Hey,
can
thanks.
Dr. Scott please stop saying real quick before every comment? Thank you. Bye.
I didn't notice that until he said it.
That is funny.
That Scott goes, real quick.
Real quick.
So, well, I say so anyway before everything. So anyway. Hey, this is an excellent question because the myth is that when you do a vasectomy that because there's no more sperm in the semen that the testicles stop making sperm, and they don't. They continue to make sperm. Remember, sperm is less than 2% of the seminal volume. So when you ejaculate, it's prostatic fluid, seminal fluid, and just a tiny little bit of sperm cells and fluid from the testicles. So the testicles continue to make sperm. They're just resorbed. After they die, they just get resorbed. The body reuses those proteins, makes more sperm, and just on and on and on. It never stops. Now, unless there's a problem. If someone has no testosterone, then they will stop. Like if you're taking exogenous testosterone, in other words, testosterone replacement therapy, the testicles shrink and they stop making sperm. And that person becomes infertile. But outside of that, then they will continue to make sperm. And yes, you could take a wedge resection of a testicle if just someone had this genetic makeup that you just had to have their sperm. You could actually take open up their scrotum, take a wedge resection from their testicle, and you could harvest sperm from there. So those are things that you can do. That's just one way to do it, but that's the most horrific way I could think of that you could do it. So anyway, yeah, absolutely. Yep. As long as they're still producing sperm, you can harvest it.
Cool.
All right, very good.
Good to know.
Good question.
I need to
Dr. Steve,
harvest.
avid listener.
Hey, thanks, man.
I listen on Sirius XM on demand.
Oh, excellent. By the way, that is the way to do it. Listen on demand. That's what helps us the most because they have no other way to figure out how many people are actually listening.
On demand, the show usually is on there every Sunday.
Right.
We haven't had a new show in 3 weeks.
Yep.
On the on demand. And the one that was posted on this week was actually a rerun. So now that's going on a month that we haven't had a new show.
Agreed.
Just thought I'd let you know.
No, thanks, man. I know.
Sirius On Demand, you haven't had a new show since October 5th was the last one I listened to.
Okay.
And the one that they had just recently posted was actually a rerun.
Yes.
All right. My name's Jimmy.
I don't know if he wanted to say it again. He's right.
Thank you, Jimmy, by the way.
Thank you for letting us know. And he wasn't the only one.
And for listening.
Thank you for paying attention.
Well, that's the big thing for paying attention. But I got several people telling me the same thing. So I sent a message to Lewis Johnson. And in fact, Lewis was out was away from the office for a while. And the person that was filling in for him did not upload our shows. So they are now all uploaded. So that you've got a bounty of like 4 shows that you can listen to. Sirius XM on demand. That's the way to listen to them.
Weird medicine for days.
There you go. All right. Well, for 4 hours.
Seems like days.
All right.
Wish it was days.
Hey, Dr. Steve. Marcus from North Carolina.
Hey, Marcus.
Hey, so my wife's got that gene where they say that she's going to get the breast cancer.
Oh.
Is it best for her to go ahead and get those titties cut off and get the big fake ones? Just want to get your sound medical advice. And, fuck PA, John.
That's right.
Yeah,
this was from like 2015, so it's already been dealt with. And Marcus, I'm sorry I didn't know about that. You could have just called me directly, and so I'm answering this, 10 years later? Mm-hmm. So what he's talking about is the BRCA gene. And there's BRCA1, BRCA1 and BRCA2. These are genes that help to prevent cancer by repairing DNA. And they keep cells from growing out of control. But then when you get a mutation in the gene, that can increase the risk of developing breast, ovarian, and other cancers. So, it's rare. Affects about 1 in every 400 people, so not insanely rare, but it is, relatively rare. And you can get tested. You just do a blood test for that. And if it's positive, it means you've got a higher risk of developing cancer. It doesn't mean you're going to get it, but the risk is very high at that point compared to the regular populace. And I can't say whether bilateral mastectomies with reconstruction would be the thing to do. You just talk to your oncologist and your primary care provider, your OBGYN, whoever, and talk to them about what your options are. Men can also have the BRCA gene mutation and should be tested if they've got a family history. So if there's a family history, first degree relative that had breast cancer, ovarian cancer particularly, then it may be smart for the male to get the test too. 1 out of every 100 cases of breast cancer is a male. So
I had no idea.
Yeah. So if you have 1,000 women, you'll have 10 of them, the 1,000 cases of breast cancer, 10 of them will be men. And then all the rest, obviously, the overwhelming majority are female, but there are, male breast cancer. There have been some famous men with breast cancer too, right?
I wish they could come up with something to just not have to cut them off.
Right.
Are they working on it?
They are, yeah.
Well, you would assume it would be some kind of immunotherapy, I would assume.
What I'm hoping is, we talked last time about that triple negative breast cancer vaccine. So let's just prevent it altogether.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Then you can do whatever the hell you want to do.
So would you give that to everybody or just the ones with that? What did you call
right
it?
now they're just
BRCA
giving
gene.
it to people who have it, who have cancer, triple negative, meaning they don't have estrogen receptors, they don't have progesterone receptors, and they're not HER2 negative, positive, right? So they're not positive,
right,
so
okay,
they're negative. And so those are called triple negative breast cancer.
Right.
It's the hardest to treat, to be honest with you. If you've got estrogen receptors of the estrogen sensitive breast cancer, and then you just block the patient's estrogen, they do much better. So they have this vaccine that's coming for that. So I would love to see, just a breast cancer vaccine for all the different types of breast cancer. I have seen I Am Legend, though. If you remember, that was at the very beginning. Emma Thompson was promoting a cancer vaccine, and then 2 years later, everybody's a zombie. So,
oh, goodness.
So, I want to make sure we're doing the right thing here. So, but Richard Roundtree, Peter Criss, Roddy, all those men all had breast cancer, male breast cancer. So don't think that you can't get that. In the meantime, Dr. Scott, what have we got from the Fluid family? I'll tell you what, I'll go through the super chats and stuff first. Myrtle Manus gifted 20 Weird Medicine with Dr. Steve memberships. If you want to get a free membership, or if you want to buy one, just go to youtube.com/@weirdmedicine, click join, and then just click the button that says accept gifted memberships, and you may get a gifted membership. It's sort of a random lottery thing. Myrtle usually gives 10 or 20. This week she gifted 20. So
thank you, nice.
Yep, thank you, Myrtle. She's a good
I like
She's
her.
A good one. She is a good one. And let's see, anything else here? Volkerstein became a member of the Fluid family. Thank you, Volkerstein. All right, what else you got? I see a question about why do feet and hands get more sensitive?
Yeah, and you believe it or not, that's from old lady trucker.
Oh, is that right?
Sure is, yeah.
Well,
she's back.
I had a good drop
from Lady Trucker. Let me see if I can find this damn thing.
You may read the question while you're looking, or are you?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So frostbite is a new VA disability claim. Thank goodness, because so now the VA is actually accepting claims for heat and cold exposure to extremities.
Yep.
And the question is, why do feet and hands get more sensitive to cold?
Hold the wheel for a minute, Todd. I gotta take a shit.
Okay.
That's funny.
That was the trucker duty thing. Double vasectomy. Todd was going to ride with Lady Trucker, and I had her record that. Hold the wheel, Todd. I got to take a shit.
That's funny.
Anyway, go ahead. Yes.
So why do feet and hands get more sensitive to cold with cold exposure? So why is
do you want to talk about that,
sure,
or do you have something? Because I know why.
Sure. I mean, the further away from the core, the blood vessels get smaller and smaller and smaller. So when you get to the tips of the fingers and the toes, you get a lot smaller blood vessels. But the other thing you get, Dr. Steve, is an increase in cutaneous nerves and sensitivity nerves. So what I mean by that is there's a lot more per square inch sensitivity nerves or cutaneous nerves, sensory nerves, in your fingertips and your toes and your lips and your genitalia than are like in the middle of your lower back.
Correct.
So you're not only are you getting less blood flow down there, but you also got much more sensitivity there.
And the question that she's asking though is, why do you get this sort of anti-accommodation? In other words, when you have cold exposure, why does it make you more sensitive to cold down the road? And the thing that makes me think of is when I was in Vermont, we used to see a lot of this, and I'm sure it's a French word pronounced Chilblains or something like that, but it's Chilblains, Chilblains. I never knew how to pronounce it. But Chilblains, and this is a skin condition that occurs when the blood vessels in the skin are damaged by exposure to cold.
So
frostbite.
Okay.
Frostbite. And it'll become itchy, swollen, and you'll get these discolored patches on the skin, and it can be on the fingers, toes, ears, and nose. And just like Dr. Scott said, because that's so distant from the core that they can cool down faster and they can get damaged by cold faster. And you end up with poor circulation, cold weather, and then the next time you get exposed to cold, it's excruciating.
Right.
And so it rarely causes permanent damage, but it can be really, really uncomfortable. So you got to rewarm the skin slowly and gently. And just to keep those affected areas dry and warm, you just can't let them get cold again.
Yeah.
And so people with chilblains who, got it from Everest, their Everest days are mostly over if it's in their feet.
Yep.
And there are some medications that you can take for that. They're basically vasodilators at that point. But anyway, all right. So that's what that is. And that's just, you've got damage of the blood vessels and nerves, and so the next time you get exposed, it just makes it feel worse. I think that's what she's talking about. Yeah. All right, you got anything else in there?
No, let's wrap it up.
All right, well, I have another question.
Oh, you have one? Okay.
Yep, I have a question no, it's okay, that I did want to get to, and it's a good one. And here we go. It's in honor of Lady Diagnosis.
I have a question that is probably your most favorite subject of all time, Dr. Steve.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Women's areolas.
Yeah.
Are they shaded like they are to help a child trying to find the nipple because of the contrasting color in some people?
Ding, 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 ding.
Or is it there to hide the bruising from a child breastfeeding?
No, well, why would it?
Number three, they're just cute.
Yes, why would evolution care if you get bruising? It's not like... that's why things change over time, right? Because there's an evolutionary advantage. So there's no upside to hiding bruising. So that's not it. And yeah, they look good, but there's no evolutionary advantage to men sucking on them, except that they may be more likely to stick their penis in until stuff comes out to impregnate a female, in the cavemen days. So maybe. But really, what the thought is that there are 4 ways to enhance breastfeeding in human infants, because we are not born with a full set of instincts like cats and dogs and other animals are. But so, and one of them is the areola. So the contrast, so Stacy's right, the contrast may darken further as birth nears and stays dark. And then that contrast allows the really terrible eyesight of the child to sort of zero in on that, gives it a bullseye. But the other thing is the philtrum, the vertical groove in the middle area of the upper lip, makes it easier for a human child to suckle and get milk out. And then the scent of breast milk will also attract the kid's head to that area. And then, of course, the projecting nipple is more pronounced when they're providing breast milk and makes it easier to latch on. So this sort of united package, the newborn baby, their sense of smell is acute, and it homes in on the breast in general and then the nipple in particular. And once in the general area, if the face is not directly on the nipple, it will move its foreface around until the philtrum, the place in the groove in the middle of your upper lip, encounters the nipple, at which point it reflexively opens the mouth and seizes the nipple. And they'll make sort of the mouth makes a cat's bum shape, they call it, to aid in suction on the nipple. And then as time goes on, the color difference between the nipple and the surrounding skin will become the homing beacon for the child. So, isn't that something? Now, some women have areolas that you can't see, so that's not 100%. I mean, it wasn't required for evolution. It's still just enhanced.
It just helps. Yeah,
helpful. All right. Now, why do men have them? It's just because it's simpler evolutionarily to just have as few differences between male and female as you can. And when I'm talking about male and female, I'm talking about breeding pairs. You want as few differences as you can because it takes too much energy and input to have completely different things for male and female. I mean, basically, if you shaved all of our heads and then just only showed from the shoulder up, there's a lot of people you wouldn't be able to tell.
Sure. That's true.
If they had XY genes or XX genes. And so, some of it is societal, but, you got tits. Well, some guys have tits too. But the main difference is the genitalia and the genetics, right? So, but even then, everything is the same except for the sex genes, the XX or the XY. That's it. That's the change. And so the men, I'm talking about procreation here. I'm not talking about gender identity or any of that stuff. When you're, the male inserts their genitalia into the female's genitalia when we're trying to procreate, and then I don't have to tell you guys the birds and the bees, but the thing is that that's the only difference. And so that's why men have nipples, because it's easier to have them than to not have them. Women, if you could have a species where the male just impregnates like a square thing that has a hole in it that they put their genitalia in, and somehow this thing, spits a baby out the other end, that you could do that, but it doesn't you think it's absurd. It makes no sense. Now, in alien worlds, there may be something like that, but particularly on Earth, the vast majority of reproduction happens between two different, sexes, so that they can mix their genetics and not have just one set of genes that are just going forward. Because when you only have one set of genes going forward all the time, and if everyone was an identical clone, then one virus could wipe us all out. You noticed when COVID came through, it wiped out a certain number of people, but the vast majority of people survived. There's not one virus that can kill all of us, at least not in our experience. And that's one of the reasons why, because you want to induce natural variation into the species. And so you have this mixing of these haplotypes, that half the genes on the sperm and half the genes in the egg, and they were randomly associated. And when they merge, you get a randomly, a person with functional mostly, but randomly assembled genes that go back, thousands of generations. So it's kind of interesting. And that's why you can walk through. It's like you're going in, like you're in Europe, and you're not going, oh wait, that's my brother, that's my friend, and they're not. You don't ever. It's very rare that you're going to run into somebody that literally looks exactly like somebody else on Earth. We all say, oh well, we all have a doppelganger somewhere.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily true. We have enough genetic variation that we can make trillions and trillions of different people, and their appearance is different, and their personality is different, voice is different, skin color, everything. So just think about it. Go to Times Square and see thousands of people, and you'll not see a single person that you recognize unless they're actually somebody that you know.
That's true.
It's amazing.
That's true.
The variation. We just take that for granted. But it's not.
Unless you're in Kentucky.
It's non-true. Well, yeah. The center of tranquility and consanguinity. In other words, inbreeding. So, Lady Diagnosis is making inbreeding joke, everybody.
Yes.
All right, my friends.
Let's do it.
Thank you. Thanks always to Dr. Scott. Thanks to Lady Diagnosis. Thanks to everyone who's made the show happen over the years. Listen to our SiriusXM show on the Faction Talk channel, SiriusXM, channel 103, Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern, on demand, and other times at Jim McClure's pleasure. Many thanks to our listeners whose voicemail and topic ideas make this job very easy. Thank you to the Fluid family, and you can join them at youtube.com/@weirdmedicine. Click subscribe and notify, and then you will get notifications when we go live. We don't do a live stream exactly. We just kind of do a behind-the-scenes video thing of us recording our audio show. But it's, we've got some folks that show up and they have fun just hanging out. You can ask questions in the chat room, etc. So check that out. Go to our website at drsteve.com for schedules, podcasts, and other crap. Until next time, check your stupid nuts for lumps. Quit smoking, get off your asses, get some exercise. We'll see you in 1 week for the next edition of Weird Medicine. Thanks, everybody.